I think the American people should be pissed. They should be very angry about this. No one gets away with not paying hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes and having just blown over or been turned into a misdemeanor charge, especially when you have other criminal activity involved. And you know what's funny? This hearing, no one denied the facts that he's guilty of this stuff, right? We all know he's guilty. The question is, I think the question at hand is, to what extent was his father aware? In a way, it's kind of like Schrodinger's cat. Either he was aware of what's going on, and he knew what his son was doing, and he was involved, or he wasn't. Or maybe he was completely clueless, absent-minded, whatever, unaware of what his family was doing. But one or the other is the truth. You can't come to any other conclusion other than that. And the problem is, you were not able to determine or lift that box, the Schrodinger cat box, and determine, is the cat dead or not? Was Joe Biden truly involved or not? So Mr. Shapley, or Mr. Ziegler, throughout the investigation, what investigative steps that would have involved Joe Biden would you have liked to have pursued but were unable to?
So I guess in my testimony, I talked about the atmosphere when we're interviewing witnesses and talking about specific areas or specific, it being the campaign, that we were prevented. There was rolling eyes at us. I mean, it was a very harsh environment to be in.
And you were directly turned down as well.
So there were situations to where I was not able to ask certain questions, yes.
So you weren't able to lift the box and find out what's underneath.
There were certain, in our investigation, you want to follow the facts. That's a part of our job, is you follow the evidence and you work the case.
So I know that you were tipped off about the storage, or it was tipped off about the storage unit before you were able to actually search it. What were you, can you say what you were looking for? What evidence? Because you've built up to this point, and then now you know there's strong indication that there's something there.
So I believe in Gary's testimony, there was that he moved his prior office. So he, being Hunter, moved his prior office into that storage unit.
And so this was off computers,
Yeah, I don't
files?
know specifically
Okay.
what would have been in there.
Okay. Besides any tax crimes, what other violations were being investigated by any other agencies?
So those aren't in the confines of our testimony. What other charges are being investigated? Any offshoots, but...
Were there other agencies that were working with you that were working on other?
Yeah, there was, FBI was working this case with us.
Okay. So you can't speak to whether there was a Foreign Agent Registration Act or?
I cannot speak to that.
Okay. My other
But what I
question,
can tell you is, not only do we investigate tax crimes, but we also investigate money laundering. So any instances of money laundering, us as IRS agents, we are allowed to investigate those crimes.
okay.
So, Mr. Congressman, if I could add, so in my transcript, I do say that there's a FARA issue at play during the investigation.
Okay, so there was a FARA issue, a Foreign Agent Registration Act issue. And is that been pursued?
We are not a part of the investigation anymore. So, and I mean, that's our whole point of a special counsel. If there's these offshoot investigations, we're going to just rely on the same thing to happen.
In your investigations, you knew that there was foreign bank accounts or foreign money wires. Are you aware if the Biden family has or they own foreign bank accounts, and do you have the ability to get access to those?
So any records that I would have related to that, I can turn over to the House Ways and Means Committee, and then they could vote to release that.
Thank you. Thank you. I yield back the remainder of my time.
Were you all ever given access to the Form 1023 that alleged Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were a part of a bribery scheme with Ukraine? The reason I ask that is because that allegation is consistent. The way that the oligarch claimed he gave the Bidens the bribe is consistent with what we've seen in Romania and other countries where they set up all these shell companies and then they launder the money through the shell companies back down to different Biden family members. So I wondered if you knew about that form before it became public.
So I can speak to that. So in my original transcript, I wouldn't have been able to say that I knew anything about a 1023, but I provided a supplement after I saw open source information from the former Attorney General Bill Barr that said that he saw this document and they sent it to Delaware for further investigation. And the team, as far to the best of my knowledge, never saw that document.
So the team that was in charge of investigating the Biden family for tax crimes never received the FBI document that alleged Joe Biden was involved in a bribery scheme.
You know, for the IRS investigators on the case, the answer is no.
Is that odd? I mean, everybody knew you were investigating the Bidens for at least tax evasion.
Generally speaking, if there's any types of money coming in and there's a criminal tax investigation ongoing, I don't see how that information could be withheld from the investigators.
And I can tell you, and I can provide this in my testimony, but like there's things that are contained on that document that could further corroborate other information that we might be having an issue corroborating because it could be regarding a foreign official. So if we have information regarding that in a document or a witness, we can further corroborate later evidence. And like I said, if that's something that we have, we can turn that over to the House Ways and Means Committee.
Thank you.